Welcome to Mystery Stories for Sleep, where the unknown meets the mysterious. Relax, unwind, and let the intrigue carry you into the night. Your journey into the strange begins now.
All right, so Halloween costumes. You know that feeling when you're digging through the rack and you get that little shiver?
Like, this is the one.
Yeah, exactly. You, our listener, you tapped into something really interesting with this deep dive request.
It's more than just looking cool.
It really is. There's a deeper why behind this need to transform on Halloween.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fantastic question because it touches on something like primal. You know, when we talk about Halloween costumes, we're talking ancient rituals, our relationship with fear itself.
Ooh, getting deep.
And how a simple costume, right, becomes a portal to something else.
I like that, a portal. Okay, so let's unpack this. Where do we even begin with the history of costumes on Halloween?
Okay, so imagine yourself back in time, way back, with the ancient Celts. They celebrated a festival called Samhain, and it wasn't exactly about, you know, candy and cute decorations.
Not quite the Halloween we know.
No, not at all. This was a time when the veil between the living and the dead, it was believed to be at its thinnest. We're not talking about, you know, just hanging up some fake spider webs here. They believed that spirits walked among us.
Suddenly my plastic vampire fangs don't feel quite as intimidating.
Right. This wasn't about playful frights. This was about survival.
Okay, yeah.
Now picture those early costumes. I don't want you to think of them as like trendy outfits, but more as tools for camouflage.
Oh, interesting.
You would want to stand out. You'd want to blend in to become invisible to the spirits that might cause harm.
So these early costumes were almost like spiritual camouflage.
Exactly. You've got it. It's a fascinating example of our ancestors, right, trying to control their environment. And they did it through mimicry. They believed in the power of these spirits, and they used costumes to navigate that fear. It was a way of saying, I'm one of you, move along.
Nothing to see here.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that this idea, it pops up across cultures.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The Romans had their own festival, Pomona, also tied to the harvest and this whole, you know, thinning veil concept.
So different cultures, different costumes.
Different costume.
Get that same core idea.
This same core idea.
Yeah.
Using dress to interact with the supernatural. It's fascinating, really.
It's incredible how these traditions, even separated by, I mean, we're talking vast amounts of time and geography, still share this common thread. It makes you think about the power.
Oh, absolutely.
The hold these beliefs must have had.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just about hiding either.
Oh.
These costumes also allowed them to embody the very spirits they feared.
What?
It was a way to try to understand them,
Oh, dear.
to maybe even control them. It was a way to interface with the unknown.
So we've gone from trying to blend in, be invisible to these spirits, to like trying to control them.
It's fascinating to us, right?
That's a pretty big leap. How does that play out as Halloween evolves?
Well, this is where history throws like a really fascinating curveball.
Okay.
As Christianity starts to spread, it doesn't just erase these older traditions, you know?
Oh, right.
It's not like a clean break. Instead, what we see is this merging of beliefs,
Interesting.
a kind of cultural fusion. Think like All Saints' Day, All Hallows' Eve. I mean, the roots of our modern Halloween, they're right there.
Right. Because no good spooky holiday is complete without a little religious mingling.
Exactly.
But how did this shift change our approach to costumes? Because it's not like we're trying to blend in with saints, right?
Not quite. Now, instead of just disguises, costumes take on this new role.
Okay.
Embodiment.
Embodiment.
Yeah, think back to like medieval Europe. Those elaborate religious plays, those festivals.
Oh, right.
People weren't just dressing up for fun.
Yeah.
They were taking on the roles of saints, angels,
Oh, wow.
demons even.
Oh, like those old woodcuts you see, everyone in robes acting out biblical stories and things.
Exactly.
But this wasn't just on stage, though, was it? They also went door to door in these costumes.
You're thinking of guising.
Guy.
Yeah, it was like huge in Scotland and Ireland. Might be the closest thing we have to proto-trick-or-treating.
Okay, so that's fascinating. Even though it seems like a fun tradition, are you telling me there's like a deeper meaning behind it?
Oh, absolutely.
Huh.
While those in disguise, they might have hoped for a treat. Right?
Yeah.
The heart of guising was still deeply rooted in the supernatural.
Huh.
It was a way to honor the dead, to seek blessings for the coming winter.
Oh, wow.
And yes, even to ward off evil spirits.
Okay.
So even as Christianity is bringing new beliefs, those older anxieties,
Right.
that need to connect with or appease the supernatural, it never really went away.
It's like costumes weren't just a laugh, you
Right.
know? They were still seen as having this real purpose, this way to interact with the unknown, even if those unknowns had shifted a bit.
100%.
It's almost as if this human desire to transform ourselves, it's almost hardwired no matter what the reason.
You got it. And that brings us to, I think, a really pivotal point in costume history. You see, for centuries, costumes were largely homemade. They were driven by tradition, limited by, resource.
Yeah.
But as we move into the 19th century, particularly in America, there's a dramatic shift that happens. Costumes become commercialized.
Okay.
And that changes everything.
Okay, so costumes go commercial. How do we get from, like, spirits and saints to, like mass-produced Frankenstein masks and those plastic witch hats that never quite stand upright?
Well, picture this. It's 19th century America. Halloween, it's taking root. But it's less about, like, ancient dread and more about,
Get a chance to cut loose a little.
Yeah. It's the Victorian era, right?
Right.
So think all these societal rules, all these repressed anxieties.
Right.
Halloween becomes an outlet,
Okay.
a chance for young people especially to, embrace a little mischief, a little mayhem.
So less, we fear the veil, and more, let's cause some good-natured chaos in the streets.
Exactly.
I can get behind that.
Right. But within that shift, a really crucial change happens.
Right.
Mass production, it explodes onto the scene.
Okay.
Costumes, they're not just homemade anymore. They're not these, passed down traditions.
Right.
They're commercially available. They're mass produced. They're marketed for this growing holiday. Halloween isn't just inherited anymore. It's an industry.
Wow. And that means more choices, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just like limited options anymore. It's entire catalogs of spooky possibilities.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And with that explosion of choice, something really interesting happens. Costumes, they begin to reflect not just our fears, but also our aspirations,
Oh, interesting.
our fantasies, the things that we find fascinating or funny.
Uh-huh.
Pop culture starts to take off around this time.
Right.
And we see this reflected in our costumes. First, it's literary characters, then it's movie monsters, and so on.
It's true.
It speaks to that very human desire to step outside of ourselves, to inhabit different identities, even if it's just for a night.
And now, I mean, it feels like Halloween costumes they're almost an art form for some people.
Oh, absolutely.
The creativity, the detail, the work that goes into some of these costumes is incredible.
It's true. And social media, I mean, it's only amplified this trend. It's not just kids anymore. Adults are all in. They're driven by self-expression, friendly competition, the desire to connect with, like-minded fans. You see these elaborate group costumes, these incredible makeup skills. It's become a whole subculture.
Oh, absolutely. And yet, I love this. Amidst all of that, there's also this resurgence of, like, DIY costumes, people rejecting the mass-produced and wanting something unique, something handcrafted. It almost echoes that ancient need to stand out, to mark ourselves as different, even if it's for very different reasons now.
Right. That's what's so fascinating about this whole journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
From hiding from spirits to crafting, like the perfect Instagram-worthy look.
Yeah.
It all comes back to transformation.
It really does.
Costumes, they allow us to play with identity, to explore these different facets of ourselves, to tap into that ancient desire for change, for reinvention, that primal link, however subconscious it might be now, it's still there.
Wow. What a journey. From spooky survival tactics to global celebrations of creativity and self-expression. Talk about a costume change.
I know, right?
So as you're getting ready for Halloween this year, I mean, think about the lineage of that costume you choose. Think about, like, the echoes of history that are woven into its fabric.
What will you embody this year?
Ooh, good question.
And more importantly, what will it reveal about you?
That's a question worth pondering. We want to hear from you. Hit us up on social media, tell us about your costume choice and what it means to you. Because here at The Deep Dive, we believe every exploration deserves a good conversation.